Hey guys, welcome back. So sorry for being away for so long. I didn't realize how much of a time commitment making YouTube videos would be. I was posting weekly from the beginning of term 1, but then I realized that I couldn't keep that up as a schedule, and then things got hectic. Then I decided to kind of leave making YouTube videos until like the holiday and have a proper think about how I'd be able to schedule things in, and also just having a proper rest after my first term at Cambridge, which we're going to speak a little bit more about in today's video. But coming into 2025, I definitely want to have a more consistent schedule so that you guys can actually keep up to date with what I'm doing. But if you're not already following me on TikTok or Instagram, which is where I'm most consistent, then please go ahead and check me out there, where I post more lifestyle and advice type videos. In today's video, I am going to talk about how I found my first term at Cambridge. To make it easier, I'm going to break it down into 4 different parts. The first is going to be me settling in and my thoughts on that. Second is talking a bit more about how I found philosophy as a course. Third is going to be talking about the things that I've enjoyed, which there are many. Last but not least, number 4 are the lessons that I've learned, which have been plenty. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Now, if you are interested in my journey to Cambridge, I recorded a Q&A answering all of the main questions that you might have, from my GCSEs, A-levels to degree apprenticeships and Cambridge applications. So please do check that out if you have any questions. And then come back to this video where I talk a bit about my actual experience. I am currently a first year undergraduate at St. John's College studying philosophy, and my course is 3 years long. I will receive a Bachelor of Arts with honours at the end of my 3 years. Now in Cambridge, just as a heads up, there are certain terms that you might not be familiar with, such as Michaelmas term, Lent term and Easter term. Those are essentially the names of the 3 terms that we have in a year. So the first term is Michaelmas term. Now we started in October, which is later than most unis, but it was so good because we actually had quite a long holiday. Settling in at Cambridge has been so crazy, so eye-opening. I'm not even kidding, because coming into Cambridge, I thought that I was going to be great at living independently, at balancing my work, because relative to other courses, philosophy isn't the most demanding in terms of workload. I'll talk a bit about workload when I talk about studying philosophy, but it definitely is manageable. But something that I am prone to doing is putting a lot on my plate. As someone who is open to so many opportunities and open to speaking to new people, it was definitely a good thing and I don't regret it at all. But what it meant was that there was so much that I was balancing at the same time. I think for the first few weeks, I was doing okay. I was able to do it. I was excited. And so I think the adrenaline pushed me through. But it wasn't until probably week 3 that I felt it the most. And that's when I started feeling the repercussions of not sleeping that much, waking up early, but sleeping late, oversleeping, and not going to my lectures. So that definitely was a lesson that I've learned. Another thing that I do not take for granted at all is the fact that I know quite a few people at Cambridge already, and I was very fortunate to go to a sixth form that sent a lot of people to Cambridge. And so I had familiar faces that I could turn to and speak to if I felt lonely or out of place for whatever reason. But don't worry, I didn't only hang out with people that I knew. I made so many amazing friends, and of course I'm going to continue doing so. And I think another thing that helped me a lot settling in was going to certain societies and making new friends through sports, and also Christian societies, going to church. So that definitely was helpful. Was it challenging settling in? Did I struggle at any point? I definitely did, because I underestimated how challenging it would be for me to just adjust. I thought it would only take me a few days. But I actually had to spend the entire term adjusting. But I think settling into Cambridge as a whole was fun. Cambridge is a small town. I'm yet to explore everything in Cambridge, but there's so much time for that anyway. In terms of actually just living in Cambridge, I'm very fortunate that I share a kitchen and a bathroom with only one other girl, and so I have space to kind of cook. Though the kitchen is quite small, it works, and so I can't really complain. I think it's good because I'm someone who loves to cook, and I'm really glad that I have enough space to do so. The thing with communal kitchens is I've heard a lot of horror stories, and I know I'm going to have to face it myself soon, but I'm so glad that I got the accommodation that I have right now during my first year. at Cambridge. Another thing that some people won't know is when you go to Cambridge, certain colleges, or at least most colleges, expect you to move out after every single term. But luckily at St. John's, we don't have to do that. So currently my stuff, at least most of my stuff, is still in my college accommodation. The only stuff I had to bring home for the holiday were my clothes. And obviously iPad, laptop, and other things that I wanted to have with me. But other than that, it's really, really convenient to have that space already set up for me so that I don't have to worry about moving back in for Lent term. I'm someone who loves to cook, as I mentioned before. I did make time to cook my breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I also had friends around as well. It was great. I have grown up in London my whole life, and going to Cambridge is different for sure because it's smaller and it's a bit further away from a big city. And I don't think I experienced that much of a culture shock. There were definitely inconveniences. For example, there weren't corner shops right around the corner and stores would close at 10 p.m. I don't really have that much to complain about with the town. I've definitely gone out. So I've tried some of the clubs and I've gone out to some of the restaurants and I've gone around different colleges. I don't have that many complaints when it comes to nightlife because I'm not really a nightlife person, but I do love different experiences. So that's definitely been fun for sure. Something that did surprise me was also the people. Coming from a state school background, I thought that there would be cliques and that you could tell that private school students don't want to hang out with state school students, that kind of stereotype. I didn't experience anything too crazy, I'm not gonna lie. At least you can make certain assumptions from the way that people speak or people's accents if they went to a private school, boarding school, whatever. But it was never really a big issue. Like, especially with St. John's. St. John's is one of the biggest and richest colleges in Cambridge. People have an expectation that people from St. John's are pompous and they behave in a certain way. But everyone that I've met in St. John's have been lovely. I've had no issues and everyone's been really friendly. And I'm not just saying this, I genuinely haven't had any issues with people. And I don't really get annoyed at people like that. So that's maybe another thing, but nothing too crazy. Another thing as well that was really, really interesting was that people were so willing to just have lunch together or hang out together or walk back to college or to Sidgwick site together if they really wanted to. And so that sense of community so early on was something I wasn't expecting, but was so glad to experience. But maybe this is just a first term thing, who knows? But so far, everyone in Cambridge have been so hospitable and accommodating. So I can't really complain again. Now, let's talk a bit more about what it's like to study philosophy at Cambridge. So I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty about what my course entails. If you're interested, definitely check out the Cambridge Philosophy undergraduate website where they'll have more information about the courses. I will only go so far into saying kind of what papers we do and the lecture system and the supervision system. So talking about my workload first and foremost, it definitely isn't as much as a medic or an engineer, and it also isn't as much as HSPS, which is Human Social Political Science. For philosophy, at least for my college, I don't know if it varies per college. I usually have one essay per week, and that ranges from 1,500 to 2,000 words. And alongside that, I would either have a logic sheet to do or extra reading for a discussion group. So those two classes, the logic group and the discussion group, those are fortnightly. So week A, for example, I'll have my logic group, and week B, I would have my discussion group, and then it goes back to week A. So just from hearing that, it doesn't sound like I have a lot on my plate, but I completely underestimated how long it would take me to do reading and to also write an essay. Why does it take so long? Because for me, I literally had a 2-day turnaround. I would read one day and I would write the next day. And the day after that would be my supervision. Logic has definitely been fun. I did maths, further maths, economics, and religious studies for my A-levels. So I thought that I would enjoy logic a lot more because I had more of a mathematical background. But you literally don't need to have done maths to do well in logic or to enjoy logic. Perhaps there is some sort of relationship between doing maths and enjoying logic, but don't delude yourself into thinking that you're not going to enjoy logic because you haven't done maths, because logic is a completely different language in and of itself. And I definitely need to spend time before I go back to go over logic again, because every single lecture is kind of building upon the previous one. And I didn't really spend time consolidating my knowledge between each of those lectures because of other stuff that I had to do on top of that. So that's definitely something to work on for sure. We are going to do more mathematical stuff, in second and third term. So we're going to start doing set theory and probability. So that might be quite fun. So before I get into a bit more complaining, I will explain the supervision system. So supervisions are essentially one-to-ones or small group discussions with a supervisor. So this might be a lecturer, a PhD student. And so for my college specifically, though there are 3 of us doing philosophy in first year, we do one-to-one sessions with our supervisor, and so far they've been good. Another thing I should probably explain is how the terms work. So though there are 3 terms in a year, each of those terms are only 8 weeks long. In terms of our holidays, we have 6-week-long holidays. So this Christmas holiday, for example, is 6 weeks long, and so will the summer break. It's really good because we have a lot of time resting, and then coming back to term time is when it gets intense. It takes so long to read, and I didn't realize that until I was spending a day reading and realized that that wasn't enough time for me to read, especially if I want to write a good essay. Because something with university that I still need to adjust to and learn is that they're not kidding when they say it's independent. And I still need to get into the habit of reading and learning how to take notes from that reading and learning how to revise from that reading and what I should be prioritizing, how to answer questions, how to simplify my answers. Because in a lot of my essays, I was overcomplicating things. You'd expect that in philosophy, you'd want to have really big ideas and to not let your brain be restrained by anything. But in a lot of my essays, I just did the most. I really need to learn in Lent term how to be a lot more concise and talk about a little bit in a lot of detail. Now, during Michaelmas term, the way that my supervisions worked were that I would have 4 supervisions for the first half of the term and then another 4 supervisions in the second half of term. So the first 4 supervisions were based on ethics and political philosophy, and the second half were based on metaphysics. I'm not gonna lie, coming into uni, I didn't think I would enjoy ethics or political philosophy that much, but boy, was I wrong. I really enjoyed the political philosophy essays, and the ethics ones were really interesting too, especially the discussions I'd have with my supervisor. And with metaphysics, I thought that would be something that I'd be better at or I would enjoy more. But metaphysics is definitely interesting, but it causes a lot of headaches. It causes a lot of headaches because metaphysics is so mentally complex that sometimes it takes so much longer for me to go through my reading, and it also takes double the amount of time to have a think about what stance I'm going to take in an essay. But nonetheless, the supervisions were so useful. My metaphysics supervisor is actually one of our metaphysics lecturers, so I could literally ask him specific questions about what he's done and also the lectures that he's spoken about. All in all, I would say that they've been so useful, and I love that system in Cambridge. Now, the lectures. I have missed quite a few lectures, especially when it hit, again, like week 3, week 4. That's when I started realizing that, oh, some of the lectures are recorded. And I started to get complacent, especially where I would go to bed late and I'd have to wake up early for rowing, for example, or I'd have to wake up early for 9 a.m. Especially since those 9 a.m.s were recorded, I started to not go to them, which I don't necessarily regret. I think the main thing I regret is losing that structure that lectures do provide. And another thing I probably do regret is not going to bed early. And I'll talk a bit more about that when I talk about the lessons that I've learned. The lectures definitely have been interesting. And what has been useful is that we get handouts in a lot of them. So even after the lecture, if you don't want to watch the lecture or they aren't recorded, some of them will have handouts that you can refer to. Something that I will never get over is the fact that I'm literally being taught by people who have made significant contributions to huge areas of philosophy. But there are some lectures or there are moments where I'm in a lecture and I just don't understand certain things because I haven't done the reading beforehand. So that's definitely something I need to bear in mind and I need to get on top of before or during my second term at Cambridge. All in all though, all but 2 lectures are recorded, and one of the lectures that aren't recorded is actually taught really well. So like I said, we have essays and we also have logic and reading. That's as much as we kind of get in terms of workload. And in terms of the papers that we get, so there's metaphysics, ethics and political philosophy, meaning, set texts, and formal methods. Formal methods is basically logic. And in terms of set texts, we do Descartes' Meditations, Plato's Meno, and GS Mills on liberty and the subjection of women. Funnily enough, I also have a mock exam on the 21st of January from 9 to 12 p.m. It's a 3-hour written exam and it's closed book. I've been preparing slowly but surely, but the preparation needs to go up a gear, I'm not gonna lie. Now let's talk about the third topic, what I have enjoyed. The first thing I've definitely enjoyed are the people from my sixth form, the people that I've made friends with, people in older years, and the teachers. I haven't had any outrageous experiences so far, and I hope that I don't have any in the nearby future. But everyone's just been so friendly. So I'm very glad that I went out of my way to intentionally speak to new people and make new connections. The second thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that I live by myself. I'm able to sort out my own stuff. I've had a lot of my friends over. We've had sleepovers, movie nights. I've cooked them dinner and it's just been great, especially since St. John's is so central. You're not far away from anything. It's so good as well because my room is so big, so I can host quite a few people. The third thing that I've enjoyed so far as well are the opportunities that Cambridge has to offer. So I talked a lot about how I had a lot on my plate, right? So I love doing everything. And so when I came to Cambridge, I joined quite a few sports societies. I wasn't consistent in all of them. So I did college rowing, tried some basketball, tried some football, tried some lacrosse, also signed up to powerlifting, and I also did athletics for the first few weeks. I was the most consistent with college rowing, though I had the issue of oversleeping to the point where I missed, I think, 4 outings. And for those of you who don't do rowing, rowing is a team sport. So if one person isn't there, the entire team can't go on the water. I enjoyed my time rowing. I loved the people that I was rowing with, and the instructors were great as well. Powerlifting was something that was on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. It was very much independent. You would train when you needed to, and you'd compete when you signed up to. So I probably started training properly near the end of the term. I signed up to a powerlifting competition, right, which was supposed to happen in November, December. I forgot when. But I didn't sign up to the British powerlifting membership on time, so I unfortunately couldn't compete. But what's so funny was that I signed up for a British powerlifting membership the evening before the competition, right? And we had to be at the competing grounds at like, I think 8 to 9 a.m. They authorized my membership at like 7:40 a.m. So I could have competed, but it's completely fine because instead I think I had friends around that time, so it all worked out in the end. I might continue powerlifting, but my family aren't so keen because they are scared I'm going to break my back, which makes sense, it's fine. So I think I'm going to try just stick to going to the gym more consistently, and I'll have a think about what sport I'd want to do more consistently. Maybe I'll do lacrosse. I've also really enjoyed the fact that I could just explore. Like, I've been riding my bike to other colleges. I've also really enjoyed vlogging my experience at Cambridge. I wanted to be able to show that there were so many other things that you could do aside from your degree. So hopefully that should be entertaining to watch, one. But second of all, hopefully it's useful for those who are interested in applying to Cambridge and are wondering what the life looks like. Now, the fourth and final thing to talk about is the lessons that I've learned. First thing is that I'm not very good at waking up early. My sleep schedule was just all over the place. There were moments where I would sleep at 3 a.m, 4 a.m. So something I definitely need to work on is my sleep schedule. So over the holiday, I've realized that if I do sleep late, I can comfortably and I would naturally wake up at 11 a.m. So I need to make sure that I sleep before 12 so that I can feasibly wake up by 7. Also, related to that topic is that if I don't sleep enough, my energy levels are just not there and I won't be able to work at my optimal level, which obviously makes sense, but I didn't realize how important it was for me to actually sleep and to prioritize my sleep at that until I came to Cambridge. I really do want to prioritize my sleep during second term because it is so impactful to everything that I want to do at Cambridge. Now, the second lesson that I've learned is that I cannot do everything at once. Cannot do everything at once. There were different things that I was balancing at the same time, and I think on top of the fact that I didn't really have that good of a sleep schedule, my systems weren't performing their best and I wasn't performing at my best. So I definitely need to think about focusing on a few things so that I can see proper results in them, as opposed to worrying about multiple different things at the same time, because it's not going to be sustainable for me, especially if I want to be able to do things well. The third lesson that I've learned is that I need structure. And when it came to missing lectures because I was oversleeping or because I decided to do something else instead, I didn't realize how much I would have craved that structure that lectures do provide. And also on top of that, I didn't realize how important it would have been for me to do pre-reading beforehand. So I definitely need to do that for Lent term, or at least do more of it in Lent term. But that leads me into talking about my fourth lesson, and that's staying organized, because I had my Notion page, I also had Google Docs, and I also had GoodNotes when it came to writing my lecture notes. I have a better idea of what works for me now from that experience, but I'm still testing it as I am revising for my first mock exam that is again on the 21st of January. I kind of revise in an unconventional way. I'm more than happy to kind of make a video on that, but I don't want to make it now because I don't know if it works. So when I see that there are results from it, then I definitely will make a video talking about how I take my notes more specifically and how I learn the material. I think another thing that I need to work on is just managing my time a lot better, because I didn't have strong non-negotiables. I had non-negotiables, but I didn't stick to them. So I don't want to disrespect myself and not follow the boundaries that I've set myself. It's okay to ask for help. I definitely have asked a lot of my friends for help and their advice on how to approach certain things, especially with the college parent system. I have college parents in the year above who do philosophy as well, and so it's really, really useful to be able to speak to them and ask about their experience with first term and their advice and what they wish they knew as well. So I'm so glad that I was able to do that. And I do the same with my lecturers and also my supervisors. So I'm not scared to ask for help, but it was made more apparent to me during my time in first term that it's completely okay to ask for help. Now that is it. Woo! I have spoken for quite a while, but I hope this was a good overview for how I've been feeling after finishing my first term at Cambridge. In terms of what I've been doing so far after finishing my first term at Cambridge, literally from the week I finished till Christmas, I was just watching movies. I've just been relaxing, going to bed late, waking up later, going to some events, socializing. So that's definitely been fun, and it set me up well because now I just want to do work. Another thing is I decided to stay one more week at Cambridge because I rearranged for my last essay to be submitted a week later, and I decided to also stay a week more because I wanted to explore Cambridge during Christmas and spend time just hanging out with friends. So I don't regret that at all. In terms of what I'm going to do now, I need to revise for my mock exam, and I just need to take it easy as well, because it's just a mock exam, but it's a great opportunity for me to test how well I can prepare for a Cambridge philosophy exam and whether or not certain systems are working for me in terms of my note-taking system, my organization system, and the way in which I structure my revision sessions as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Do let me know what type of content you guys want to see, and I'm excited to see how this goes. Consistency is the main word for 2025. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys had a blessed Christmas and have a wonderful 2025. Bye.